In this video, we're talking about the top 10 most powerful characters in the One Piece world. This list is canon only and was inspired by the recent trend of top 10 lists that I have been making. Before we get to the list, I just want to mention that this list is not in any means the most accurate, the most unbiased list ever, and I tried to think about the characters' primes to make it more interesting. I also encourage all viewers to comment down below your own list and the short reason why you chose a specific character for a specific spot. Anyway, let's get to the honorable mentions. The first one being the main protagonist of the story, Luffy. I really considered putting Luffy in, but that would make the list super biased because Luffy is my favorite character. But I really do think that with the mastery of Ryuo and Future Sight, that Luffy would surpass Big Mom and Kaido. Right now though, he only knows Ryuo and Future Sight, but he hasn't mastered these yet, so there is a lot of improvement for Luffy, and this is the reason I didn't include him on this list. The next one is another character very close to my heart, and it is Mihawk. I really wanted to put him on the 10 slot because I feel like Odin in his prime could be defeated by Kaido, Big Mom, and Blackbeard in their primes. And since Mihawk is the strongest swordsman in the world, I wanted to give the nod to Mihawk instead of Odin. In my opinion, Mihawk might be one of the people in the One Piece world that could injure Kaido, making him very much able to defeat him in a long drawn out fight. Not saying that he's surely stronger or more powerful than Kaido, but he has the chance to defeat Kaido in a one-on-one match. I would probably say around 30 to 70 in favor of Kaido. Now, I wanted to put this next one inside the top 10 list just as much as the last honorable mention, and it is Fujitora. He is so strong, and he might be one of the characters that are able to destroy the One Piece world because of his Zushi Zushi no Mi. Just imagine if Fujitora was able to bring down an actual planet instead of just a meteor. I'm pretty sure that he could be able to do that if he really wanted to. He brought down how many meteors in one arc? Why can't he bring down a planet if he wanted to, right? But anyway, the last honorable mention is Akainu. I somehow feel that Sakazuki is the strongest marine right now, especially because Sengoku and Garp are way past their primes. Considering Akainu's fruit, he's basically very much capable of beating almost anybody with it, even without Haki. I really wanted to put him in the list since I remember how he managed to deal some damage to a very old Whitebeard, which was still a very monstrous character at the time, but I feel like he falls a bit short just because the ones that did make it to our top 10 list are very, very strong. So, let's get to it. Starting the list off, we have Big Mom. I feel like she's the weakest of the Yonko right now. And even if they're all in their primes and we make them all fight each other in a round robin type of tournament, I feel like she would lose more matches than she would win. Not to say that Big Mom is weak, she's a Yonko and not everybody can stand up to her, let alone damage her. Because as we have learned back in the Whole Cake Island arc, she only got wounded when Mother Carmel's picture was shattered. This was also evident when Brooke tried to stab her. Even with a very daring technique, couldn't even pierce Big Mom's skin. Sanji even mentioned that he estimates Big Mom's skin to be like an iron balloon. So I imagined it to be Luffy's fourth gear. And that is in Big Mom's normal state. What more if she actually uses Haki with it? Which is why in her prime, I feel like she's much stronger than Akainu and is the reason why Big Mom is number 10 on the list. Next, we have Blackbeard, the newest official addition to the Yonko. Blackbeard has two fruits in the Gura Gura no Mi and the Yami Yami no Mi, which is unheard of in the history of the One Piece world. He can deal out so much damage and takes in just as much. And with just the Gura Gura no Mi, I think it's a no-brainer that Blackbeard should be in the list because he can destroy the whole world at any moment. We all saw how he almost broke Ace's neck back in Banalo Island, and that was just with one punch, even without Haki. Imagine if he imbued that punch with Buso Shoku back then. I'm sure he could have, because he was mentioning his observation of Luffy's Haki back in Mocktown. I believe that it's arguable that Blackbeard could be replaced on this list, but I don't believe that Big Mom would be. But I put Blackbeard on number 9 because of the Gura Gura no Mi. I believe that's a big power spike. We move on now and we talk about Kaido. He's known for being the beast in one-on-ones, and should be noted that there are only 7 battles that he had lost and was only injured by Odin, which is why he is surely part of any top 10 list for the most powerful characters in One Piece, which is also the reason why I put him above Blackbeard and Big Mom. We still haven't learned if he really did eat a devil fruit that makes him able to transform to a dragon or the other way around. But he might have other abilities that might propel him further up this list in the future. We have Odin next, and I was actually torn between putting him above Kaido or not. Bias ended up winning, and I placed him at number 7 because he was the only person able to injure Kaido. And without the interference of the previous owner of the Banimane no Mi, who knows? It might have been Kaido's 8th defeat, solidifying Odin's position in any top 10 spot. It's insane just how strong Odin is and how he managed to easily wound Kaido in an instant. I feel like if a character would easily just strike down a Yonko, he definitely deserves a spot at the top. We also saw Odin man up against Whitebeard the moment he laid eyes on him. And he also did this against another character on this list. I actually wanted to put Odin higher up this list, but that would make the list super pointless because I would be letting the bias do all of the talking for me if I did. But anyway, we now chill at the number 6 spot because we have Shanks. His Haoshoku Haki is unbelievable. And if I recall correctly, he was the only person whose haki was strong enough to even damage the surroundings. We saw this in action when he boarded Whitebeard's boat when he requested Whitebeard not to pursue Blackbeard. We also know that he's strong enough to make Blackbeard tuck his tail between his legs and get the respect of Sengoku and the Gorosei. He is strong enough that he stopped Kaido from intercepting Whitebeard and continued on straight to Marineford without a single scratch. Yes, we don't know what happened back then, but it might be a good guess that Kaido didn't want to fight Shanks' crew because his whole crew was unharmed when we saw them at Marineford. And now, as we talk about the top 3 to 5 spots, it's so debatable as to who goes to which position, and I feel like these 3 spots are such a toss up. I ended up placing Rayleigh on the number 5 spot because I think that Rayleigh might have been the strongest swordsman in his prime years, and he mentioned that he wanted to save the Straw Hats while he was dealing with Borsalino, a Marine Admiral. When he was in his prime, he might have easily been able to do that, even at the expense of Kizaru. But nonetheless, I really think that Rayleigh could be stronger than Garp, but I went with the number 5 spot on Rayleigh because of how Garp was known for chasing the Roger Pirates down countless of times. But Garp paid the highest compliments to Rayleigh when his subordinates reported that Rayleigh was seen in the Subodi archipelago and was suggesting that they gather a force to take him down. But Garp suggested that the Marines can't handle 2 very old legends at once, and that Rayleigh should not be taken lightly, even at his age. Speaking of which, Garp is at our number 4 because obviously he chased down the Roger pirates multiple times and he would be fighting with Roger rather than Rayleigh. Someone else would probably end up fighting with Rayleigh, someone like Sengoku who has always been seen in tandem with Garp in the past. Garp also became the hero in the Marines because he helped with the defeat of one of the pirates on this list. Garp was easily able to deal with Marco in the Marineford War, and was shown to exhibit the audacity and confidence that he could kill off Akainu, which was so badass. But I think that he could really do that even at his age, even if it was out of rage from what had happened. Also, Garp, over the course of his career, had chased down so many notable figures like Roger, Shiki, Whitebeard, and so on. Just like all the characters that made it to the top 10, he was shown to have massive endurance, but I think that what separates Garp from the likes of Big Mom and Kaido is that he doesn't have tough skin. He was injured by a seemingly weak Axe Hand Morgan way back in the early parts of the story, provided he was sleeping so he wouldn't be on guard. But what strikes me the most out of that scene was that it took such a long time for him to even notice the wound, which was funny but subtly communicates that injuries like that are nothing compared to his strength and durability. Moving along now, we talk about Whitebeard. He was once known as the strongest man in the whole world. He was so strong that he could create tsunamis, earthquakes, and deal with various opponents that were much younger and spry than he was. Sakazuki had a very hard time dealing with Whitebeard, and that says a lot, considering Whitebeard was 72 when they fought, way past his prime, and still a monster that dealt so much damage to Sakazuki even after he received so much damage himself previously. And even when Akainu was able to get a few blows in, Whitebeard kept on trucking. And this is considering that Whitebeard was seriously ill when he fought in the Marineford War, which is why I was compelled to put Whitebeard at the number 3 spot because he is basically Sanji on steroids. Obviously, if Whitebeard is in his prime, he would be even more of a monster than what we came to know of him to be. But back then, even if he was such a monster, he might still be weaker than these next two. At the number 2 spot, this one will be a quickie though, and it's Rox D. Sebek, another D that's only known to be second to one man. 20 years before Roger was the man, it was his era. We know nothing about the capabilities of Sebek, but I am sure about one thing. If you are able to lead a prime Whitebeard, Kaido, and Big Mom, you're strong, you're charismatic, and you're very special. He's obviously stronger than his crew at that time, and it wouldn't be any other way. He's probably just like Phil Jackson, the NBA coach, because he was able to get all of those egos focused on the same thing. Yes, ultimately they got disbanded in the end, but that's another story. Now, to wrap the video up, we have Roger. Not much needs to be said about him, but I would just like to reiterate a few things that I'm sure you know about, but may have forgotten, because I know I did for a while. First is that Garp helped him defeat Sebek. Next, Whitebeard and Roger were basically equals, and this is with Whitebeard having the strongest devil fruit in the One Piece world, and Roger had an incurable disease at that time. Their fight ended in a draw, but it lasted for 3 full days, which tells us just how strong and how massive his endurance was. Roger was able to do to Odin what Odin did to Kaido. He also has the highest bounty of any pirate that we know of, and is just one of the reasons why Roger is widely known as the strongest pirate and is currently reigning as the Pirate King. That ends today's video and I hope you enjoyed it. Crush like if you did, just like how Roger crushed everyone else, and comment down below your top 10 list of the most powerful characters in One Piece. Also, subscribe to the channel because on the next video, we're talking about the top 10 Paramecia fruits to continue our theme. It's gonna be fun, and I hope to see you in that conversation. Stay safe. Peace.